Run It Back Nation, what is good? Good morning. You might have woken up today and said to yourself, I wonder if DJ Eastwood watched the Sixers game last night. The answer to that is no. I did not watch the Sixers game last night. Not on a Sunday. The Sixers were not getting me on a Sunday. Not on the day the Lord rested, the day the man upstairs took a rest. You think I'm watching this Philadelphia 76ers basketball team play basketball? No. That did not happen. They did lose. They did continue the tank. I was watching the NCAA tournament a little bit. The Duke game, then I watched the Kentucky game. It was a good time. I might start making videos talking about the March Madness, by the way, on this channel, because I don't want to talk about the Sixers anymore. There's nothing to say until next season, you know what I'm saying? Or at least until free agency. We got a couple of months until then. Yeah, and let's be honest, I signed my soul away to a couple of companies that are paying me to say things. And what do you do when you need to keep saying things, but you don't have anything to say? You find other things to say. Okay, where am I going with this? Anyway, I woke up this morning, and the first thing I saw on my phone was George Niang was trash talking Quentin Grimes last night. And that's just a very interesting interaction, dynamic. And I said, oh boy, we got to give our opinion on this. So don't look at my search history. Just kidding. It's filtered. George Niang, Quentin Grimes. I'm just kidding anyway. Who watches that kind of stuff on a PC? News. Here we go. George Niang chirps Quentin Grimes over bigger role without Joel Embiid. Now, I watched the clip. I can't play the clip for you because YouTube likes to hit me with copyright. I watched the clip, and George Niang was saying, he basically told Quentin Grimes, the only reason you're doing this is because Joel Embiid is not here. And then he said to Quentin Grimes, as Quentin Grimes was on the free throw line, he said to him, if Joel was here, your ass would be in the corner. Joel here, you're in the corner. Tyrese here, you're in the corner. Now, first of all, I don't think that's true. Just by watching Quentin Grimes play basketball. He is an elite level combo guard at this point. You can't, and I've had people say this in the comments too. I've had people say exactly what George Niang is saying in the comments. He's just getting off on a bad team. He's just getting off. Then why isn't everybody in the NBA dropping 46-point games on bad teams? Why isn't, you know what? You know what just popped in my mind? If it's so easy and it's only because he's on a bad team, then why isn't George Niang dropping, you know what? Here's what we got to do. Here's what we got to do. We got to look at Quentin Grimes' stats with the 76ers. All right. That's what we got to do first. I like to use StatMuse. I just like the way the thing is laid out. We got to look at Quentin Grimes' stats with the 76ers and see. Get out of here, man. I said I like to use StatMuse, and then it's going to give me that BS. All right. Well, StatMuse isn't going to give me a whole game log. Quentin Grimes, stats 76ers. And we will just go to Quentin Grimes, Philadelphia 76ers shooting guard, ESPN. Here we go. And we will get his full game log. Okay. Here's Quentin Grimes with the Philadelphia 76ers. How many points did he score since being here? You know what? Let's look at how many 25-point games does Quentin Grimes have with the Philadelphia 76ers, okay? 26, 25, 28, 46, 28, 29, 35, 25. Actually, Quentin Grimes hasn't scored less than 25 points in 7 straight games. And the Boston game, I think he got hurt. No, he played 33 minutes. Then he had 30. Then he had 44. Then he had 3, 9, 16, 12, 30. All of these with the Philadelphia 76ers. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games over 25 points with the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's go to StatMuse. George Niang career 25-point games. George Niang has 3 games in 20 with George Niang has 3 career 25-point games. And he wants to step up to my guy, my cousin, my nephew, Quentin Grimes, and tell him if Joel Embiid was here, you would. Bro, you got 3 career 25-point games in how many years? How many years has George Niang played in the NBA? This Googled the movie Beverly Hills Ninjas. Okay. But anyway, 10 plus years, I'm saying, George Niang has been in the NBA. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he has 3 career 25-point games. And he wants to step to my nephew, Quentin Grimes. Now, George, we love the fact that you were talking trash to Ben Simmons that one time when Ben Simmons returned to Philly, right? But why did we like that so much? Because it's fun for someone like you to talk trash to Ben Simmons because you are a below-average NBA player, but you're still more effective than Ben Simmons. So it made sense because Ben Simmons is a loser, is a bum. You are talking to a player who could outscore you in every way possible in any game on any team. I just don't understand it. Anyway, revisionist history here. My personal revisionist history. For those that don't know, one time I, at the end of a 76ers season, I went on Twitter and I told George Niang that he needs to start running suicides if he wants a new contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. He ended up leaving in free agency. But all I said, I was being nice. I said, hey, man, start running suicides next year if you want a new start running suicides right now if you want a new contract next season. All I was saying was that George Niang is a very good NBA player. He's a very good basketball player. He's good enough to be in the NBA. He's good enough to have a long NBA career. That's something that not a lot of people in the history of the world can do. He has the natural size and shooting ability that allows him to do that. But if George Niang was in good shape, he would be a much better NBA player. George Niang's natural size and shooting ability allows him to be a fatty. Let's call it what it is. It allows him to be a fatty and get away with it and still be a productive NBA player. All I was saying is if you weren't a fatty, you would be a much better NBA player. And he replied to that tweet and called me a clown. He said, you are a clown emoji. So, a couple of years later, this happens with the Quentin Grimes thing. And I go over to, well, I want to tell you this first. There's a guy on Twitter named Grill Guy, who's a really funny guy, comedian on Twitter. I don't know if some of you follow him. But he has a podcast with George Niang. And George Niang, in this podcast episode, was basically that they were saying, how long would it take you to make 1,000 threes without a rebounder? And George Niang was kind of making a joke about Grill Guy being a fatty and told him it would take him a year to do it because it would take him forever to get his own rebounds and get to. I commented on this, and I said, this podcast is hilarious because George Niang is the grill guy of the NBA. I think it's a great comparison or analogy. Grill Guy replies to this comment and says LOL in all caps. Now, obviously, Grill Guy and George Niang are friends. They do a podcast together. Grill Guy replies to me sometimes on Instagram when I comment on his posts. I don't think he knows that George Niang doesn't really like me and doesn't think that I'm funny. So I decided to take this one step farther just to maybe create a beef out of nothing for my own enjoyment. And I made a post on my own Instagram page that says, George Niang to Quentin Grimes, if Joel was here, you would be in the corner. George Niang, career 25-point games. Quentin Grimes, 25-point games just since joining the 76ers. Sit down, grill guy of the NBA, George Niang. And I tagged Grill Guy and George Niang in the description. Grill Guy replied immediately, and he said he's right, though. He'd be camped out in that corner. I don't think he's right, because I think Quentin Grimes is a combo scorer, and you're going to see him coming off of screens at the top of the key and getting downhill and running pick and rolls and all kinds of things with Joel Embiid on the floor. If Joel Embiid ever plays again. But here's what I want to say. Grill Guy, I don't think knows that George Niang thinks I'm a clown and does not think that I'm funny. And so now Grill Guy has replied to this, taking the middle ground, where he replies to it, but he doesn't tell me to shut up. He puts LOLs, but he agrees with George Niang in the comment, right? So now we wait to see if George Niang replies to the Instagram post, and I'm very interested to see if George Niang gets upset at me like he did on Twitter, or if he just has a laugh with the fellas and relaxes. Like all in all, I do like George Niang as a player. I think he's fun. I think he's entertaining. I think, again, he's a good enough player to have a long NBA career, and I respect that. I do. But you got to watch who you're trash talking. And Quentin Grimes is 100 times better of an NBA scorer than you, George Niang. Anyway, thanks for the content. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.